Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on diversity and inclusivity in urology. First, let me explain our Malaysian experience. We are a multiracial country comprising majority Malay Muslims, Chinese, Indians, indigenous minorities in Central Peninsula Malaysia and Borneo Island, as well as foreign migrant workers. Women comprise half of the students entering medical school. I began my urology training in 2009, 10 years after graduating from medical school. My early years were spent serving as a medical officer in the district hospital, completing my general surgical training and working as a general surgeon. In 2009, only one of my consultants was a woman, Ms. Susan Wu, who's with you in Bali right now. The rest of my consultants and colleagues were men. On the right, you can see how far we have come. In 2022, during the annual Malaysian Urological Conference, the women, both urology consultants and trainees in our fraternity, met informally at the Venue Cafe. 1 year later, in 2023, we became an official and legal subcommittee of our national association. And yet, when it comes to leadership at a higher level, we still have ways to go. In 2020, the Royal College of Surgeons of England commissioned Baroness Helena Kennedy to look into diversity and leadership within the surgical profession and the college. The results and recommendations were published a year later and reported that women and people of color experienced significant barriers to aspiring for and achieving leadership roles in the college. And it also pointed out that the institutions were simply not doing enough. Some key findings of this report include perception by members of the ongoing presence of an old boys club. Members who worked less than full-time did not have a high profile. Among examiners, there was low gender diversity and low representations from ethnic minority backgrounds. Low diversity was a key finding in counsel and officer roles. Women in surgery was tangential rather than core strategy and value of the college. Non-training staff, such as service medical officers, also known as fellows and associate specialists, are often from minority ethnic backgrounds with no tailored provision for career development. These findings indicated that there was a significant need to adapt and cultivate a sense of belonging for all surgeons if the college is to remain relevant. Diversity refers to the presence of variations in personal, physical, and social characteristics among a group. It's not just about gender, ethnicity, and religion, but also age, sexual orientation, physical abilities and disabilities, involvement of migrant population, and involving surgeons from various educational background and life experiences. On the other hand, inclusivity refers to strategies and procedures implemented by organizations to integrate everyone. Inclusivity means consciously creating an environment where people feel heard and valued. And it involves active engagement. An inclusive environment attracts talent and retains talent because it is attractive to a broader range of professionals, allowing us to draw from a wider talent pool. Equity, on the other hand, refers to equal access to education, resources, and opportunities. An inclusive environment is the opposite of an echo chamber. An echo chamber is an environment in which a person encounters only beliefs or opinions that coincide with their own, and their existing views are reinforced and alternative ideas are not considered. Why is diversity important? There are several reasons. Diversity reflects and serves the needs of our diverse patient population, leading to improvement in patient care. One example is women with chronic bladder pain who are often told that the pain is in their head, or women with bladder cancer who are managed as recurrent urinary tract infections, or a 26-year-old with caudal regression syndrome who's still being catheterized by an elderly single mother. Diversity leads to innovative solutions because innovation comes from a range of perspectives and problem-solving approaches. Now, having a diverse workforce improves cultural competence, empathy, and communication, and this in turn reduces health disparities. Surgeons from different backgrounds may be more attuned to specific health challenges faced by a certain population, and this leads to a better targeted and equitable care. Of course, having diverse role models would inspire underrepresented groups to pursue careers in the field. And lastly, diversity aligns with ethical principles of fairness and equality. And when you have strong women faculty, discrimination and abuse of young doctors is more likely to be called out. Now, diversity, equity, and inclusivity, or DEI, can be implemented at various levels. As an example, in education and training, a recently published paper on factors predicting success at the MRCS examination reported 3 key factors: institutional differences in teaching and training, the academic ability of the candidate, individual differences in personal and social circumstances. Now, while these findings help us recognize candidates at increased risk of failure, these findings also allow us to optimize surgical training and appropriately reallocate resources and support in a fair, diverse, and inclusive way. Inclusivity is a conscious choice and an active endeavor. Representation means serving as an example and a role model. However, it is time for us to look beyond representation and take up the role of mentorship, which is to use your lived experience and background to relate to your trainees and actively foster meaningful relationships. In the same way, recruitment refers to the process of actively seeking out, finding, and hiring candidates for a specific position or job. But beyond that is outreach. Recruiting outreach is reaching potential candidates and persuading them to apply for a job or position within your organization. Outreach is more aspirational. One way to improve recruiting outreach is to ensure that the hiring committees are diverse and trained to recognize and mitigate biases in the hiring process. Equity refers to providing resources and support for career advancement of underrepresented faculty members, including research funding and leadership opportunities. Department policies should also foster a work environment where all individuals are treated with respect and are given equal opportunities to contribute and advance. Some of these policies need to prevent and consciously address discrimination, harassment, and bias within surgical departments. It is also important that we regularly assess our department policies to address the disparities in evaluations, promotions, and outcomes to ensure that everyone is treated fairly. Now, it is also good to encourage funding for research that seeks to understand and address the specific health needs of diverse populations, including women, ethnic minorities, and disabled patients. Promoting inclusivity in surgical profession is a complex challenge, and there are various problems and pitfalls that need to be addressed. First would be the unconscious bias. Surgeons and medical professionals may harbor unconscious biases that affect their interactions with colleagues and patients. What I mean is, how many of you have been told that you are favored because you wear a skirt? And there are other microaggressions, like when people speak over you in meetings and the mansplaining. There is also underrepresentation, meaning there is a shortage of mentors from diverse backgrounds, and this can make it harder for aspiring surgeons to navigate their careers. There is also still the social stigma of urology and the public perception that urology is about prostate, penis, and testis, and that any decent woman wouldn't take it on may still exist in many parts of the developing world. Institutional policies, cultural norms may inadvertently favor certain groups, mainly men over others, perpetuating inequalities. And there may also be insufficient support systems for work-life balance or family responsibilities, which can disproportionately affect underrepresented groups. The limited access to resources and opportunities, and this often leads to high levels of burnout and dissatisfaction due to a lack of inclusion. and the inconsistent training exposure to surgical specialties can limit the professional growth of diverse trainees. Addressing these problems requires a comprehensive approach involving advocacy, policy changes, educational reforms, cultural shift, and targeted support system. Only by acknowledging and actively working to overcome these challenges can we make significant strides towards greater inclusivity and diversity. To conclude, if there's any advice I would like to leave you with, it would be these three quotes. Beyonce famously said, "Put a ring on it." In our context, I mean that make the women's chapter official within your urological association. When I brought this up with the members of my association, some of the questions I was asked was, do you really need an official platform? Why not meet informally? And there was also fear that we would be parochial and cliquish. And my answer was that we need visible representation and a platform to put forward our suggestions. An official legal chapter would ensure that our concerns are not easily overlooked. The second quote is that it is not possible to see the results of your effort in your lifetime. So diligently plant the seed, but don't worry too much about the harvest. It is likely to benefit the next generation of urologists rather than yours. And thirdly, it is difficult to change other people. So be the change you wish to see in this world. If you think diversity is important, be fair to both your female and male urology trainees. Intentionally mentor trainees from indigenous populations and rural areas. And if you're leading a team, ensure that your junior doctors and staffs are allowed to speak up and voice their concerns. Now, with that, I wish you all a very good day and a fruitful conference.